Good afternoon. This is the Elliott Wave daily update for the NASDAQ 100 being recorded on Thursday, December the 4th at 3:04 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. As I started with when on the S&P update, I'm going to do the same thing here. This has been one of the more interesting year-end uh, trading that I've seen in quite a while. And I think it's due to just the intense amount of options trading, or how expanded options trading has become, and just all its various forms, and that we have a future on the VIX. We have a future on the VIX itself. So we have volatility index on the volatility index. And all have options, and all are used to hedge, and all are used just for trading. We have ETFs. We have single name ETFs, all that have, they could be ultra long, ultra short, all have options. All these options trade. And so you've heard me speak so many times about the amount of capital, the amount of flow, the money that is flowing around in the market and being put here and put there. And this year, being that we're now moving into the year end, and the market has just been hanging out, constantly striving to get higher and higher and move higher, that is just really putting a whole different spin on this market, because so much of what we're seeing and how we trade day to day and intraday is due to what is getting done in the options. All these options, and they produce levels, and if you are a member, you get those levels in the morning. And I am discussing call walls, put walls, volatility triggers, other large gamma positions, and each one produces a consequence, or basically almost a trade, when it gets broken either to the upside or to the downside. So again, it isn't so much that suddenly everyone's turning bullish or bearish on a particular stock. Now we add into this, we've had a tremendous, tremendous run since October of 2022. That's when this last leg, the last larger leg, really began. Here on the NASDAQ, it would be the intermediate fifth wave on its way up to finish intermediate wave 5, and then also primary wave 3. In the other indexes, it is also an intermediate wave 5, but it's finishing intermediate 5, primary 5, and cycle 3. So we are coming up to a fairly major, a little bit longer term high here in the NASDAQ. It is building up to a primary third high. And so primary wave 2 was in 2002. So that was all the way to the bottom of the dot-com bust. And so it has been here in the NASDAQ, it's been underway for 23 years. Whereas we can also, in the other markets, we can take it the last stage, October of 2022. Prior to that, on the primary degree, and it takes it back to here in the NASDAQ, it takes it back to 2002. And in the other markets, it takes it back to 2009. So pretty large. And the expectation, of course, is that we're going to have a multi-year, larger correction here in the NASDAQ, in the form of a primary fourth wave, and in the S&P it'll be a cycle fourth wave. All in, I think, are going to be interesting. Now, getting to what we're really doing now, we're in the month of December, so we've got X amount of days, right? 20 days. We've already now, this is the fourth that we've had. So we basically have 16 left. And I think, the Christmas holiday be in there as well. So it kind of takes it away. We're also building towards next week on Wednesday, when it is the last FOMC meeting and the last opportunity that the Fed will have to cut rates. And the market's pretty much demanding a 25 basis point cut. because it's all been factored in. Now, whether that actually happens, to be honest with you, I don't know. If I'm going to go based on the market, I'd be like, oh yeah, guarantee. But you know what? In the market, there aren't any guarantees. It's another thing I'm learning. And so I never say never. Now, with that, we also have now the start or the resuming tomorrow. We have the PCE index, which is actually for September, so it's a delayed report. And then we also have personal spending and personal income and spending, which has also been delayed. So both of those are going to be basis the September contract, basis September, not contract, the September numbers. And we should be getting the non-farm payrolls, but we're not gonna. That one's being delayed, which I find very interesting because it's like, do we really think the Fed's going to try to make a decision without the latest data? No, I do not. So again, why it's being delayed is beyond me, other than the person who's doing it doesn't know what they're doing. Because the person that was doing it and producing the numbers, it wasn't pleasing to the person in charge at the moment, and they got fired. So we'll see. We'll see how this all comes out. Now, what we have been witnessing, and a lot of it right up on expiration. So tomorrow being an expiration day, it's expiration Friday. We have the December monthly on the 19th of December. We have the 31st, which is the year end expiration. That's the final for 2025. And then we also have an expiration on the 12th and the 20th. Oh, not, yeah, actually, I think the 26th, the market will be open. I think, pretty sure. So there would be one there as well. Um, so we have a lot of expirations left. Now, with that in mind, this is where we start to see a lot of rolling around, a lot of changes, a lot of trading, and we pick up some volatility here and there. Now, tomorrow being an expiration, let's kind of take a look at what happened today. So also leading into expiration, like last week, it was Apple. Apple became the favorite of the day, and the stock went, I think it went up to 286, 287, somewhere way up to there, and now trading back down closer to 280. So we're seeing rotation back out of Apple. We saw a big rotation into Apple, now we're seeing a rotation out of Apple, but I think a lot of that has to do with the expiration tomorrow. And then we'll see what gets revamped after that. Now, also today, pre-market, Meta made an announcement that they are laying off, I guess, a large number of employees within the the virtual glasses, the virtual goggles, whatever it is they produce in that department, because I guess there's been some disappointments or something's not going right. So they're trimming back on the people in that department. Well, that lit a fire under the stock price. And I am just going to go over here and show you. Here is Meta and it happened 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. my time is when the news came out. So 9 a.m. Eastern. Stock opened this particular 15 minutes or this half hour at 643.85. That's where Meta was trading. Announcement came and Meta traded in 15 minutes, traded up to 687.30. So that's approximately 44 points, $44 that the stock just went up in 15 minutes. Came back down. By the time our opening, which is 9:30 a.m. Eastern, stock opened at 676. The high was 676.10, and that was it. And then we just started to trade down, but it still held very strong, very strong. Right now it's trading a little bit higher, closed up 20, almost $22, now trading above that level by a little bit. So that was today. And so I'm thinking, well, what did that do? I have to tell you, it totally just swamps and turns everything for the expiration that's coming tomorrow. So a lot of adjusting of these positions that they probably thought were going to be going off worthless. And now suddenly they all have value. And so what puts were going to have value are suddenly now going to be worthless. It's a very interesting situation. Now, it did not do a whole lot to the market, but here in the NASDAQ, I have gone ahead because I can do 5 up here. Let me just bring this down to that. 15-minute chart, and we can kind of get inside there. So we have 1, 2, and that's a 3, and that was the 4, and then it's like a crazy 5, but still a 5 inside there. And so I am going to go ahead and put these sub minuet wave 5, and then the sub minuet wave 5, and the minuet wave 3. I'm just going to bring that down a little bit and then push it back up. So what does that then tell us? It tells us that we're now likely within the minuet fourth wave, which will be an ABC down. Well, a couple of things here. We got an ABC down, but I'm going to go with the fact that it's an A. Now, being that wave A formed 3 ways, it kind of sets the stage where the whole pattern is likely going to be a flat. And what does that mean? Well, here's the bottom of A. We're looking for wave B that likely can come back up to and equal that high. Then it makes pure flat. That's a total flat. So the length of wave A, the length of wave B would be equal to the length of wave A, and then a C wave would be expected to come back down to the bottom of wave A. Now, what's also included within this quote unquote family of corrections is a family of structures of corrections would be an irregular. And so I am just going to go ahead and add some fib levels here that would tell us about what could happen. And I'm going to put them in this color because this is wave A, subminuet wave A, and this is a subminuet B wave. So we're putting them in the right color that corresponds with what's actually happening. And what I am looking for is here we have already the markets come back to 0.618. Now B wave, 0.618 is pretty common. That would be very common. But then also we can get up to 78.6, and we can get up to 100% and still be a flat and still be a B wave. So I'm just going to take this down. I'm going to leave that in 1, and I'm going to just add these next levels, which would be for an irregular B wave. And so I'm going to put those in, and here they are. There's 786, here's 100%. I'm going to actually take this one out. It could be affected, so 25,680, we can replace it. I'm going to edit that and just take it out so we can see that if it's going to come up and we have an ABC up, right? So this is ABC down, A, B, but actually it looks like 1, 2, doesn't it? But we're going to see it could be A, B, 1 of C, 2 of C, 3 of C, 4 of C, 5 of C. We could either get up to here and then it's a flat, total flat, right? And let me do one other thing, and I just put this all together, put it down there, and change this around and call it the A wave. And now there's our picture. So here we have the A, then we're coming back up in a B wave. B wave can get close, can get up to maybe 25,690, that I think is 0.786, or 100%, which is 25,733, or it goes above, creates a new high for the sequence, and then 1.236 is 25,792, and 1.382 is 25,828. So those all valid. And then still coming down and doing a C wave to finish this minuet fourth wave. So those, I believe, are our choices because this is a 3-wave A. Here's the whole picture. 3-wave A, that could be it. That's going to be the 4, but it's really shallow, really very shallow. And if it were to occur, then these numbers tomorrow, the market's going to love them. Market's going to love them overnight. They're going to fall in love with the NASDAQ, and it just needs to go. Literally needs to go because this would be 4. We're in 5, and that's going to be it. So I think it's not. I think it's going to be an A, B, C. It's going to take more time. That's my own personal look. But again, as I said before, I stopped saying, "Oh, that can never happen. That won't happen." Never say never. Not in the market because it's going to turn around and make sure that you knew. That it's like, oh yeah, don't ever say to us that never going to happen because it'll happen. Now, So there's the A, if possibly the B. We're going to see what happens and where it can go. These are the levels if it's going to go irregular. If it does, then we're going to have to put in 1.618 to bring it back down. And that would be here to here. And then you get 1.618 and likely 0.236 is just 25,308. That would be like the minimum for this fourth wave. So that's what these are. 382, 25,044, 0.236, 25,308. Previous fourth wave is right there. So that's kind of what we're going to look at. And that's kind of in between the two. So that's the previous fourth wave at 25,192. And it actually goes all the way. All of this is that previous fourth wave. So it's going to stay interesting. But once again, we're in a correction. This was a correction. And it takes its time, which is why I'm not going to think this is done now. And that what we're going to do is just kind of bounce it around. Now, other thing this could do, right? A, B, C, D, E, launch. There could be a triangle, another triangle pattern. That's pretty common in a fourth wave. And it's pretty common in a fourth wave in the position that this guy's in. So, a lot to think about, a lot to just kind of try to trade. I do think the trading was pretty good today. Uh, as I mentioned in the S&P, it was the type of a day where because the morning was pretty wild in the moves. They were very volatile in terms of how fast they went about. I got to just see what this is. Yeah, of course. Supreme Court just said, okay, Texas, you can keep your district, even though there was a appellate court or one of the other courts says, no, it's unconstitutional. I guess the Supreme Court has decided, oh, yeah, it is, and we're going to allow it. So there's that. Let's see what they want to do with it. But in any case, I think what we have here is a lot of choices. And so I'm going to look for a little bit more on play here within this fourth wave. And again, it could be a triangle pattern. It could be an irregular. All kinds of things can take place and still take its time. I'm not going to say too much more time, but at least through tomorrow, unless we come in tomorrow and they just go, nope, we're just taking it, and they go right above all of this as they start moving up higher. Then we'll mark it accordingly, and we'll see what happens. Gamma levels remain important. Didn't really come into play today. I think they did in Meta, but not so much in our indexes. I think actually in one it did, and it would have been the Qs, the volatility trigger and things of that nature. But I'm not really sure. I don't think they got triggered too badly because they got recovered. So that's actually about it. The gamma levels will be updated tomorrow morning in the morning update. And again, it is an expiration, and we got lots more to come. And we get some numbers, start to fill in the blanks tomorrow. And that'll be at our next update. Will be tomorrow morning.